We all seem a little bit tired today, I think. The Dub says fair enough. You were like back and forth from Toronto all weekend covering NSL. You got to be pretty tired. I mean, it's been a bit of a crazy opening week and a bit to the NSL for you.
Yes, it has. But I mean, it's great. Like I love that I get to do it. But yeah, the weekend kind of flew by because with travel early morning on Saturday and then late night last night, my brother's in town and just trying to get the visits in and getting home, and those guys are hanging on so that I get to see them. And so we get to watch the overtime of Edmonton and doing that sort of stuff, but long days and little sleep. Not as little as Wonger's getting, but very little sleep.
Well, Jimmy too. Very busy weekend from the old football world, eh, Jimmy?
Yeah, it was a busy weekend. Covered a couple of CPL games, and I had the provincial team over the weekend playing against TFC. So it was a lot of football.
So for the audience,
another loss.
Yeah, we won the first one on Saturday. We won 1-0, and then the second game we end up losing 5-3.
And they're both against TFC Academy.
Yeah, Academy.
So none of your boys are part of the TFC setup?
No, but there is a couple that were on the provincial team that should be a part of the TFC setup. That's for sure.
Now, did they make that decision not to be part of the setup, or for reason? There's a reason for that, or they just not been picked by TFC?
Haven't been picked.
Right.
So that's part of this program is where the players that aren't in TFC Academy, you try to take the best in the province. You play a couple of games with them so that they can get identified from universities, from professional scouts, whether it's CPL or TFC. So it's a good opportunity for them. And there was a few good players. I was really, really surprised just how good these kids are and haven't been picked up yet. I mean, if I'm a CPL team, I would have been at these games on the weekend. I would have definitely taken a couple of them.
Well, we saw, I forget his name now. My story would be better if I had his name, but he was a part of CF Montreal's academy. I think they're U16 team now. So they kind of rejigged the age groups. So it's U16, U18, and then the reserve team that plays in League One. And he went to, I believe, Atletico as one of these, I don't know how it's dubbed. It's like a special talent or initiative, something like that, where it's like an exceptionally talented young player, so that he's going immediately to a pro setup and foregoing the academy. Are you seeing that in Ontario?
Yeah, we're seeing it, a lot through the CPL right now, where these young players that were in academies, whether it's the Whitecaps or TFC or Montreal, are looking, thinking, do I stay in an academy or do I leave and go CPL where I'm going to get an opportunity? Because you have to play players that are under the age of 21. So these teams are all looking for young talent, and you're going to end up playing first team football. Prime example is Grady McDonald, who was in the Whitecap system. He left, went and played for Vancouver, had a great season. Following season after that, he ends up getting picked up, and he's over in Belgium right now.
It's definitely a new pathway, isn't it? And that's kind of the point with the CPL originally, to provide that pathway. How do the MLS teams feel about that, Jimmy, and their academies? They're potentially losing talent to professional football earlier than they thought.
Well, I mean, I think the CPL is looking at it kind of buzzing a little bit, thinking we've got these MLS teams that are developing players, and then we're going to take them and we're going to give them first team football. It's the opposite of what the MLS teams want, is they want to develop and push them on into their first team. But you're seeing players leaving now, these academies. So obviously they'll probably be disappointed with the situation and how things are going. Especially if you're losing some of your top talent, they're going to go elsewhere, and you're investing in these young players.
Is that going to cause friction? Is it causing friction between CPL and MLS?
I don't know if it's causing friction right now at the moment, because there's maybe a handful of these players that have left and moved on. But it would be interesting to see down the line when more players are starting to look at the CPL thinking, I'm going to get first team football here rather than waiting for my opportunity. I mean, I think that's the good thing with this CPL. And like I said, because you have to have a certain amount of players that play under 21 minutes and on your roster. So, if you look at the Whitecaps, you look at Montreal and TFC, it just seems a lot of them would rather go buy players or bring players in from elsewhere. They're going to get a job done right away than than spend the time nurturing young talent to come into their first team, because it does take a little bit of time for these players to settle into first team environment.
I think if you're an MLS club, say Montreal in that example that I provided, maybe initially you're feeling pissed off about it. But I think in Canada, where we don't have very much infrastructure, there aren't a ton of academies. There are only a certain number of spots afforded to these young kids. So if you can widen that pool, then it's going to benefit everyone. But I'm just not sure, and I can't speak for any of the 3 respective MLS franchises. But I think if you take like a macro look at it, I think it has to be good in the long term, even if you're losing out on a couple of talented kids.
Can you attain a buyback deal? If you lose, say I don't know what the deal was when Rob Friend got Green McDonald, but is there a buyback in place that if an academy loses a young player they developed to a professional team, and that professional team then sells that player, does the MLS academy get something back?
Well, that would be if you were to buy the player. Now, if a kid's got a 1-year agreement with an academy and his contract's up and he just goes, I'm leaving and I'm going to go to a CPL team. Mm-hmm. Maybe later down the line, when that player does get sold on, then they'll probably get a development fee. A little bit of money might come back to that MLS club, but unless he's bought, then they're not going to get anything, or no sell-on clauses. And I think with the young talent that you're looking at, thinking, okay, this kid's a superstar, this kid we've got to hold on to, then you're going to start to see probably long-term agreements with these younger players to keep them within the academy, and then loan them out to a CPL team.
Yeah, that's one of the challenges for players, really young players now, making that decision. That it is a big decision going to clubs because of those development fees. So if they release you and you've been there for 3, 4, 5 years, you're going to have over $100,000 in development fees that a club in lower divisions is very unlikely to pay.
Yeah.
At the same time, Craig, I mean, you skipped the academy side of football. You went straight to men's football at a young age, right?
Mm-hmm.
For you and your development, obviously it worked out really well. But I guess it's a personal thing, right? If you're physically developed enough, then you should be playing against the highest quality you can, in which case is men, even if you're 16 years of age. But for a lot of these kids, they're not there quite yet. And the academy probably is still the better route, isn't it?
Well, it's the best route, but you want to make sure you pick a club that gives you that opportunity when you think you're good enough to make that step into it. When I went to Ipswich, I did research and knew that they were a club that wanted you to develop and to move into that stage and then maybe sell you on. I look at Toronto FC, and if I'm a striker for Toronto FC, a young lad, are you going to get an opportunity, or are they just going to buy over top of you, bring in designated players to play? And that typically is what's happening. And clubs aren't in a position where they can slowly develop their clubs. They want results, and they want them pretty quickly.
Although this year, I mean, in fairness, DeAndre Kerr has come through the system, and I know he's hurt right now, but he's a guy that's been given opportunity because of the injuries elsewhere and the way that they're shackled with what they can do. But you're right. If they can clear some space, they're going to probably throw their money at an attacking player, and that might cause DeAndre Kerr, for example, to play fewer minutes. But let's not get into what TFC may or may not do and why they can and cannot do certain things, because we've done that before. And it's probably time to move on, isn't it? Let's stay with the Canadian theme, though. Don't worry, Dubs. We're going to get to the glorious weekend that it was for a
I'm not worried. I'm good, Charms. I'm good.
No?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Do you want to start with some stay with the MLS route, or should we go some NSL to start things off? We feel like Dubs. Are you feeling energized for an NSL little cubbyhole corner? What are you going to call this thing? We've got CPL corner. What's the NSL thing going to be?
Well, I said it on the dark web. What did I call it again? I said the Northern Super Summary. That's
Summary,
it.
Northern Super Summary.
Northern Super Summary.
Okay. Trademarked.
Yeah, trademarked.
DM.
Footy Prime presents the Northern Super Summary. Soup or summary? Who's it gonna be?
Here we are, Dubs.
Amazing.
Week two of the NSL.
Yeah.
We got some more goals and some beauties too.
We did. So that first contest on Saturday, which pitted, so there were 2 contests out of the 3 that were played this past weekend in week 2, where you had 2 teams that had yet to take the pitch. You know, it still was their first and looking for their, whether it was first home game or just first official minutes. So there was that scenario on the Saturday with Calgary versus the Tides. And then also yesterday with Ottawa at TD Place. So we'll get to that in a second. But that first contest at Wanderers grounds, you saw a Calgary team just get immediately out of the blocks quickly and sort of pick up where they left off with a strong second half versus Vancouver Rise. It ended up being all for naught. They got some opportunities, failed to capitalize, and I think credit to Vancouver because that was a dominant performance by them. But Calgary were immediately kind of plugged in and raring to go and really overwhelmed Aaron McLeod and the Halifax Tide. So a couple of early goals and real class on set pieces, because we'd seen in week 1 a lot of corner kicks being generated, set pieces as well, but not really converting on those opportunities. And Calgary actually was a masterclass in it. But the most horrifying thing for me and for any Canadian soccer fan, especially on the women's side, to see Aaron McLeod get called with this new rule that IFAB instituted in March, where it's no longer the 6-second rule for a goalkeeper, it's the now 8-second rule. So Aaron held on to the ball for about 13 or 14 seconds and had that called against her. So I was like a bit twitchy in the booth because I was like, fuck no, not again, not on Aaron. Of all the players, of all the goalkeepers, you know, their first ever match that this is going to be called against her. And then on the ensuing corner, it kind of pinballed and around in the box. And Johnson for Calgary scored the first of 2 on the day 4. She got the brace off another error at the end of the game to seal the deal, where Aaron was out of position again and she scored from distance. So to me, it looked like a Halifax Tides team that, not that they weren't ready to go, but they were overwhelmed by a Calgary team that had gotten out the kinks and the nerves the week before. And then by the time they could catch their breath, they were into the locker room and they were already 3-0 down. So it was pretty tough. And I mean, if it wasn't for lack of effort or commitment, and the fans there are always out of this world, but Calgary was too good on the day. So that's match 1. I'm talking too long, aren't I?
No. Why do you always say that? You're not.
I mean, extended summary.
Yeah. When does the summary become too much? Become the next step from a summary? An in-depth analysis.
A lecture. A lecture. Northern
Sorry.
lecture.
This is fun, you guys.
Everybody keep notes.
Yeah. So you guys were all at BMO Field last week when the Roses scored really early on that awful giveaway, right? Real mistake from Katembo. And so they get on the board and they're able to kind of withstand a little bit of an onslaught from AFC Toronto, who seem to have the pieces on paper. To me, they might be the strongest roster in the league. But then a similar situation where they're away this time at TD Place against Desi Scott and the Ottawa Rapid. And they were a really well-drilled, organized team. Jimmy, I even dropped the organized and belligerent line because they reminded me of a Nottingham Forest where they didn't have any of the possession, but they were in control. What is it, Sharm?
Organized and
belligerent?
TM. You got TM.
Yes, TM. Lots of TMs. It's all happening. And then Mina, their South Korean player, just an incredible mazy run, a great pass from Ellen Gibson, their other holding midfielder, kind of a double pivot in there with Desi Scott for Ottawa. They were part of why they were so resolute and really compact in their shape. Releases Mina a little bit higher. He was playing that 10, kind of floating around, and weaves her way in and scores. And I think Manor only gets her eyes to it a little bit late, and they kind of score against the run of play. And it wasn't for lack of opportunities from Toronto, but they failed to capitalize. Okoronkwo was called offside. A great kind of pass from just the right side of the box, and she just slips in a seam between the two center backs, heads it home. It was a really tight call. She may have been onside, so they're a little bit hard done by there. But I think Ottawa was dominant, even though they didn't really dictate. They weren't on the ball as much as Toronto. So that's Toronto now. They've opened this campaign, heavily touted in preseason, but now they're 0-2. And then the second game yesterday was Signa and Jess Lisi on the call. That was the Roses versus the Rise, and the Roses again with early goals. So they scored 2 off of throws. So kind of the black sheep or the ugly duckling of the set pieces, but they were able to capitalize on 2 quick throws where it looked like the Rise weren't really engaged. They kind of went to sleep. One really early on, and another one was an absolute screamer by Latifa Abdu. And the Rise got one back a little bit later. Quinn scoring from the spot again for the second week in a row, mustered up a kind of a comeback a little bit too late. So that was their first match at Swangard, with their opening match being at BC Place, and the Roses rolled. So yeah, really, really good weekend where I think a team like Ottawa, to me, had a lot of question marks about their roster. Same with Halifax, but Ottawa impressed. And Halifax, I'm concerned about the depth and the quality within that roster.
I know it's early, Dubs, but what is your feelings on who's the better team and who's now the favorite to maybe go the distance?
Well, I think after that inaugural match, I was like, okay, this is Vancouver. Like, they can run the table here. But I think tables, and pun fully intended, turn in week 2 where the Roses are just humming along. They look really, really confident. A slight shift in formation where you had Naomi Paquin for them deployed kind of on a high press with Tanya Boychuk, who reminds me, and it was actually Kate who said this, she's like, she reminds me a little bit of Cara, and completely different statures, but their lower bodies are a little bit similar in the way that they move, where you kind of know where they're headed, but you can't really stop them. So you've got that direct kind of attitude from Boychuk. You've got Megan Sauvé, who's a really lively attacker on the other wing, and you've got Paquin, who's operating just underneath them on the attack. So they've got a really, and I didn't even mention Abdu there, so that attacking triumvirate, and then Paquin just beneath them has overwhelmed opponents so far.
How were the crowds overall this weekend? Good ones?
Good.
Again?
I think, I don't know about the numbers at Swangard, but it looked good. It looked full. TD Place, I think, was about 6,000, if I'm not mistaken, but they were loud, good atmosphere. Desi Scott scoring. I didn't even mention Desi scoring.
By the way, I read somewhere, I think Northern Pitch maybe had this this morning. That was her first ever professional goal.
Yes.
How is that possible?
Yeah. And 187 caps with the women's national team, 4 Olympics, I think the same amount of World Cups, I think 4th all time for caps, no goal with the national team.
It's incredible. I mean, we know what a great player she's been.
Right. That's where the similarities end for us.
Yeah. Couldn't be more different, actually.
She had quite the celebration too.
Oh, she did.
It was a great celebration.
It was great. And you had Camilla. What's Camilla's last name again, Jimmy? She was a sideline reporter.
Gonzalez?
Yeah, she did a great job for the interview. She was pitch side for that match. And we threw to her at the end of the game, and Desi's like doing like a little dance, and Camilla's just like watching her go, and we were live. But yeah, she was incredible. So like a really comprehensive match, I thought, from Ottawa, but like that was the cherry on top of the sundae, the fact that Desi Scott scored kind of the insurance goal to ensure a victory for their first ever NSL game.
And thus wraps up our inaugural Northern Super Summary.
Fine print, not known for brevity.
The trouble is now Jimmy's CPL corner is Jimmy, you got 45 seconds.
Valor nil, Halifax 1, Caps 1, Ottawa 3.
Yeah, right. And now for MLS.
Yeah, the old Footy printer.
CF Montreal still winless.
BBC still do it that way, right? If you watch BBC, their sports, they still just read out the scores. Everton 1, Chelsea 3. Nottingham Forest 2, Birmingham 1. What did I say Birmingham there? Of all the teams I could have picked, Birmingham. That's odd. They got promoted, by the way.
They got promoted.
Yeah.
What about Wrexham?
What about Wrexham? Back
what
to
a
back
story.
Back to back.
Incredible.
Everything Ryan Reynolds touches turns to gold.
Including Blake Lively's luscious hair.
Wonder if he likes podcasts.
I wonder.
Right? Well, he does. He's part of the group that they did like a fundraising tour for Men in Blazers, and his company or their investment group backed them.
Yeah.
Of course they did. Men in Blazers. They do some really good stuff, but I'm extremely jealous.
We should get Blazers.
Yeah.
It's kinda
People in
sexist though, isn't it?
Blazers. People
You know
in
what?
Blazers.
People.
That's right.
we
Men in hoodies.
The fact that it's men in Blazers, I mean that's not right. We should start attacking them.
No,
We
I
should
like
be-
what they
yes.
do.
6 in ponchos.
We don't need all that money. Just some of it would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Hey, Ryan, if you're listening, just a little bit.
Now then we
Um,
we wouldn't have anything to complain about,
Oh, we'd find
right?
something.
We'd all be. Oh, we would. My
on.
hiccups. I could
We're really good at complaining about stuff. We're
Hey,
excellent.
Jimmy, next week, much the way the Roses are alternating who's wearing the armband between Sauvé and Boychuk, next week you take the lead and I'll follow up with. So CPL
Yeah.
corner first, and then I'll follow up with my extended summary.
Oh, that's nice.
All right, Jimmy, go. CPL corner brought to you
Yeah,
by.
so I covered the Valor Halifax game. Valor were at home for their home opener. Halifax actually, that was their 4th home opener that they had throughout the season, which is incredible. So it was another home opener that they were a part of.
Can you
Valor at home
repeat home openers, Jimmy? Sorry.
what's that?
Can you have like repeated home openers? I don't understand.
No,
So
they were like
they had Ottawa their first game, which was Ottawa's home opener. So Halifax played in that.
Oh, I
Then
see.
Valor's home opener, they played in that. Then they had their own, and then
Understood.
they had I think it was Pacific or someone. So they had 4.
Gotcha.
Wow.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. So it was a good match. It was a competitive match. Obviously, Valor looking to get their first win of the season. They competed well, played some good football, nice brand. But Halifax stuck to their game plan and ended up scoring a goal in the 90th minute to take the 3 points on the road, with Diaz scoring. Remarkable goal, great feed, finds the back of the net. So Halifax now tied for first with 10 points with Ottawa. Cavs at home played Ottawa. They ended up losing 3-1. Ottawa just seems to be a team right now that's just rolling, playing bags of confidence, scoring plenty of goals. They're the team at the moment that everybody's watching. And same with Halifax, to be fair to them. They, with Halifax and Mark Watson obviously putting this squad together, they've got great depth, a lot of good players, and they seem to be finding their feet and gelling together right now and playing a decent brand of football. Vancouver, I ended up covering that game on Sunday. They were at home against Pacific for the Salish derby. And it was a good match. It was a competitive game. I think there was like 8 yellow cards. They had 1 red card with Dada Luke getting sent off in the 50th minute. Mosqueda put them up 1-0 in the first half. Looked like they were rolling. Pacific didn't really get going until the sending off, and then that's when Endom ended up scoring with a header, rose like a salmon, far post. And
love the sound of it, Jimmy.
Very apropos. Well done.
It ended up in a draw.
Always comes against the run of play, swimming upstream.
Nice.
Thank you.
Ended up in a draw, and then the other big match, Battle of Ontario, was York and Forge. They ended up drawing 2-2 at York. You still have Vancouver, Cavs, and Valor still looking for the first one of the season, and the rest are slowly pulling away a little bit. But who knows when those wins are going to be coming for these teams? And it's always a funny one when you look at Calgary or teams in the past that win championships. They always seem to struggle the next season, don't they? Just getting off the mark. I'm sure, look, with the experience of Tommy Wilden Jr., he'll get his side right and steer this club back in the right direction where they need to be and push them back up the table.
Jimmy, did Halifax make a ton of changes this year? Is it
They
completely
did. They
different?
made a lot of changes, brought in a lot of good players. So I think it's a team right now that the Wanderers crowd are going to be very, very excited about.
Good.
I expect them to be at the top of the table come the end of the season. That's for sure.
If we
Same
had a
question
road
for-
trip, sorry, Dubs.
That's okay.
That would be my first place to go, is a
Mm.
road trip to, if we had a choice, just to see the Halifax grounds, just because everyone talks about what a great match it is and a great environment. So just Halifax knows that.
They have the perfect situation out in Halifax right now. The fans are great. They're educated. They understand the game. It's an intimate setting. I think 6,000 fans come out almost every game. It's right in the city as well. Everybody walks out of the pubs, walks down the street into the stadium. So for me, it's the best setup throughout the league.
I agree. I've been to a couple of Wanderers matches out there visiting my brother and his family when we go out every summer, and then also covered a national team match there and the Christine Sinclair farewell tour. The place is always buzzing. It's fabulous. Just, no matter what the result is. And I think you saw that with the support that the Halifax Tides had when they were on the wrong end of that 4-1 result. They're always going to show up for their team. But Jimmy, I had the same question as Forrest posed to you about Halifax. The struggles that Calgary are having right now, did they make any changes, or is that pretty much the same squad that won the championship?
They had a couple of changes. Majority of their squad's still back, but they just haven't found their feet yet. That's it for them. And it's funny how it works, though. You see, it doesn't matter what league it is. Teams that win a championship the next season, they kind of struggle a little bit at the beginning until they get themselves going again.
Also, Jimmy, Charlie Trafford retired, right, as well.
That's right, yeah.
And big part of that. Yeah, a big part of that club from day one. Big personality, right? And so you wonder if that's got any kind of adjustment as far as the leadership there.
Yeah, it's a valid point. I mean, we know Charlie Trafford was a big part of that team, and he's a presence on pitch, and it's a big void to fill. And
an investor in the Calgary Wild now, Charlie Trafford, and much to Forrest's delight, growing mushrooms now. He farms them. Yes, not those kinds of mushrooms.
Why don't we get?
What a fun guy!
Well, that is outstanding.
Well done, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Yeah,
fun guy.
Let's get Charlie on the show. I'm going to make a call.
Really well done.
We need to get Charlie on the show. It's about time. We'll find out about his fun guy.
Yeah,
that's amazing. That was a great, concise CPL corner, Jimmy.
Oh,
thank you very much.
That's a slight on me.
I feel like, yeah.
MLS story. Vancouver keep rolling, don't they, Craig? 3-1 winners. That midfield, Berhalter, Vitae, Kubas, is getting some love now across the league. I think it was an MLS season pass. I think it was on them this weekend. They were just championing how that is the best midfield in MLS right now. And how Berhalter in particular is a guy that was just kind of this guy a year ago is now maybe the best in his position in the league so far this campaign. Another great performance ahead of what is another biggest game in club history this Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? I think it's Wednesday, isn't it? Against Miami.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. 8 changes coming into that game. Miami also rested their star players. Messi, Suarez, Alba all got rested. They end up losing on the weekend, but Vancouver on the road against a decent Minnesota side cut them to pieces at times. Absolutely cut them to pieces. So it just shows you what Jesper Sorensen is doing, and talk about knowing your roles when you come in. I mean, everybody in the club, every squad player knows exactly what they're doing, because that is not an easy situation. When we know that when you're making a few big changes, let alone 8, and to compete like that and knock in three spectacular goals.
Yeah. Was it Vitae who had the brace?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Some really well-worked combination plays for that. And then Berhalter, that one that goes out to the right and it gets recycled back and he smashes it on the top of the box. Like highlight reel goals, all of them.
That 2-0 goal, wasn't that the one off like 25, 30 passes? I think it was.
Yes. Yeah, 30 passes, I believe it was. Yeah.
30, yeah. Wow. Really impressive.
Yeah. Minnesota,
it also...
Go ahead, Dan.
What?
Whoa, he's frozen.
Is he frozen?
I don't know. I'm breaking. Am I breaking up?
No, that was
Are the hiccups breaking me up too? I was going to say an enthusiastic and re-energized Craig Forrest, who returned back to Toronto to see his Vancouver Whitecaps boss another team. Incredible. Look at his voice. Listen to his voice. Look at his face. He's re-energized.
Well, you got to be excited about something, because the other 2 MLS sides in Canada suck shit.
How do you really feel
about on the Vancouver bandwagon here?
Hey, Dubs, in Montreal, does anyone realize how bad Montreal is? I mean, right now it's Habs, I imagine.
Right. That's helping them, I think.
Yeah. Because it's not good. I know they're not being smashed each week, another 1-0, but 1-0 still another loss.
No, it is. So winless again, and then they've got Canadian Championship, right? Is it this week against Toronto?
Is it this week?
Yep.
It is, eh? Okay.
Yeah.
Boy.
So it's like, is the
That's going to be a barn burner.
Well,
but I mean, then all of a sudden,
well,
that's it.
Yeah.
Both of these teams need the Canadian Championship to almost right the ship, to as a season saver, which it can be, right? It can give you that silverware.
Can it?
Well, I mean, it's
don't know.
something,
It's a good
right?
question.
Because it's been so bleak. It's been so bad in Montreal. So
But they're not going to beat Vancouver, either one of them.
No, but I mean, you can maybe just change the tide a little bit. You can get things going, right? Because the league play has been so dismal. Because I didn't watch that game in their defense, so I can't speak to how they looked kind of performance wise. But just looking at the goal again, like it's a long ball, it pitches just in their own half. The cover and the positioning is terrible. The ball pitches in between two Montreal players, and the New York player goes the other way and scores just from outside the box as Sirois kind of comes out to try to stop it. So it's a mistake again. So it's like they can't get out of their own way, even if, they do look a little bit more, I think, improved and confident under Donadell than they did under Courtois.
Still can't win though.
Well, that's it. Doesn't really mean anything unless you can start to string together some meaningful results. 2 points, right?
4 goals.
Winless. Yeah.
Yeah. Are they dead last, or is they're close to it, right?
They're dead last.
They are dead last.
They got 3 points. Yeah. And speaking of
Sporting
not being,
Kansas City and Galaxy, I think, are in the basement as well.
Portland's been terrible too, right?
but speaking of getting out of their own way, is they're lined up the same night as the CONCACAF Champions Cup for the Canadian Championship. So the games will cross over. There'll be a Venn diagram of an hour of a crossover. So just, once again, you don't want to, very Ghostbusters.
Who are you gonna call? Not CF Montreal.
When I said Portland, I meant Atlanta, by the way. They've been pretty poor, but they've got 9 points, so not that bad. Yeah, TFC lose again, Jimmy. They actually had their moments again in this one. They weren't appalling. Close loss, couldn't build on that win from last week. But again, much like Montreal at this point, it's not about performance or moral victories. It's about getting the damn points on the board, isn't it?
That's it, Charms. It's just getting the points and try to move up the table. I didn't see the first half. I saw the second half. Saw the penalty as well that was given. And that just deflated TFC as well. Conceding again, and now you're chasing. And they just couldn't really get things going for me. And just watching the second half, it wasn't a great performance. And it's just a club right now that's really, really struggling to find their identity and get the best out of each other. I don't know what they're going to do. I have no idea come the summer if they're going to try to offload some players, maybe try to bring some in. But they've got a hell of a lot of work to do there.
Jimmy, I wanted to ask you, with all of the soccer you were doing, considering you and Dubs were running around all weekend, not only participating, but broadcasting, were you soccered out? How did you handle the Nottingham Forest match? How did you
I was disappointed.
No, did you even get to watch it?
No, I just saw the results because I was coaching. I know Man City scored very early in the match because I got the notification on my phone. But I saw, a few highlights and clips after, and the atmosphere looked amazing. It looked incredible inside Wembley. But now they've got to focus on the league and trying to get that Champions League spot. It's so tight at the top of the Premier League, from 1 to 7. It'll be interesting to see who's going to finish in those Champions League spots, but I think it's going to be probably 1 to 8, which could essentially all make it into Europe at some capacity. So it's exciting coming towards the end of the season in this Premier League, especially at the top of the table.
Forrest now on 60 points, down to 6th, but have got a game in hand.
Yeah, and if they win that, I think they go third.
Yeah, they're third. Yeah, exactly. Looking at their schedule here to close up the run in here, they have so playing Brentford at home.
That's midweek this week, right? Yeah.
And then Palace, who are in the final of the FA Cup. Good for them. In fact, fantastic for them. Then it's Leicester. West Ham and Chelsea Chelsea to close the season now. Wow, that could be a massive game.
Yeah.
Not a bad run in.
Could be worse.
No, it could be a lot worse.
Yeah.
Can we read something while we're talking about English Prem and FA? Okay, from our friend Tony Icaviello. I think I said it okay. Oh well. How insufferable are Amy Walsh and James Sharman going to be on the Footy Prime pod today? Especially Amy. Not too bad so far, but we haven't talked about your team, your club yet. Especially Amy. Especially Amy with the Roses dominant win on the weekend to boot. Hashtag, can we talk about butter tarts again? So thank you. I appreciate that. Insufferability. I don't know if I was going to go there, but Tony did. So I appreciate it, Tom.
Well, I think we've been insufferable as we generally are, but not about specifically Liverpool yet. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Like Dubs is insufferable talking about how great the Roses are because she's an advisor. Right? That's insufferable. So we get it, Dubs. They're a good team. Yes. Well done for all the advice you've given them. Advice. Do you like send like an email each Monday morning with advice for them?
Yeah.
You do, yeah?
Like she does to us.
Yeah. Jimmy, maybe not the V-neck this week. Shams, maybe you want to brush your hair, and Wonger, your backlighting isn't great. Maybe work on that. Get some
That's right.
internet, and
Get off the
JC, you're just perfect the way you are.
He really is. Yeah.
How it kind of works.
Forrest, wear Puma. End of advice.
But shall we talk about the big story then, Dubs, in Europe? This past weekend. Not about Barca winning the Copa del Rey. Not that one. The Liverpool story. Let's get insufferable, shall we?
Oh, maybe I'll go get coffee.
No, you must stay.
I think we're back on the fucking perch, aren't we? Hey, Fergie, 20 league crowns. And if you wrap it all up into one little neat package, including the European Cups, the most successable English team in history. And I'm very happy about
Painful.
that. We did it in style.
We're not
5-1.
insufferable yet.
We ain't got started yet.
No, but they only needed a point, right? And they won, and they did it in style. And I didn't get to see it because I was covering NSL, but caught the highlights and caught You'll Never Walk Alone and caught Arne Slot, much the way that Jurgen Klopp had the crowd chanting Arne Slot. He was given the mic and had them chant Jurgen Klopp. And so I thought,
la, la, la.
okay, now we're maybe insufferable.
Yeah.
Life is Life.
Everyone.
That's the song they do. Life is Life.
Yeah, Life is Life, yeah.
By Opus. That is maybe one of the worst 80s songs ever.
Is it by Opus?
Is it Opus?
I would agree. Terrible.
It's one of
Life
those.
is life.
Yeah,
I like
look it
it.
up. Look it up.
No. It's great. It wasn't bad. It's not bad. It's a great song.
Not a good
Good
song.
crowd song.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Opus. God.
Anfield sounded pretty good.
Well done. Oh, it really did.
Yeah. It was fantastic. And to do it in front of a full stadium, and outside the stadium, there's like thousands of fans gathered, big party there. It was brilliant. And they won't get the trophy until the last match of the season. But it didn't matter.
Sharms, is it a victory tour for I don't know enough about them, a team winning this early and locking it up because there's still 5 weeks left, right? 4 weeks left?
I think it is a victory.
Right?
Yeah. No, it's 4 games left.
So is this next 4 weeks, and Craig and Jimmy and Dubs can lean in, but is this just victory tourish? Hey, we're going to play Salah, for the first 25 minutes of every match, just to let him enjoy it. We're going to, I don't know. How does it work?
That's a great question. Because it's
Well,
rare
most
that teams
don't
win
wrap
so
it up
early.
so early.
Yeah. And usually a team is involved in some other match, like an FA Cup final or a Champions League semi-final.
Failure.
Right?
They're failures, Liverpool,
yes.
this year.
But the failure allows them to celebrate now a little
Yeah.
bit early. Mo got his goals. I mean, he's still chasing the golden boot, right? He's probably going to get it after the goals this weekend. But it's a good point. I wonder what's.
Normally they'll get the guards honor when they come off the pitch. The opposition, they clap them off, create like
It's
a little
off or on?
tunnel. I
Is
think
it
it's
off or on?
after the match, isn't it? Normally,
I don't know. I think
just
it might
because
be on.
they become the champions, or it could be on. Can't remember.
Yeah, either way, there's God of Honor anyway.
Yeah.
I think it's a great way to celebrate because you're right. There's nothing, but there's integrity too. There's also, you only get a medal for playing a certain number of games, and there's some players there who don't qualify right now. I'm not sure if they played, like I know, for example, Chiesa, it doesn't qualify right now for a medal. If he started or played the next 4 games, would he qualify?
Put a guy out there with a walking boot, and the sexiest look ever. A walking boot, just so you know, if you ever see anyone going or moving with a walking boot, I'm always like, that's some sexiness right there.
You love yourself a walking boot, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Hey, put this on tonight.
Well, I think Chiesa has only played really in FA Cup. Like, I don't know if he's had more than an hour combined minutes.
I think
across
it's 33
the
minutes.
Yeah,
I read somewhere.
Yeah.
You used to have to play 15 games to get a medal.
Okay.
Was it 15? Okay.
But it's not that much anymore, I don't think.
Is it not?
No.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He was the one with the one signing. He was the one signing, but it didn't really work out. But it didn't matter in the end. It's going to be a big summer for this club, apparently. Great piece in the Athletic. I know Dub's probably read it, or she's about to read it later today, about how they won this year and all the changes Slot put in. But one thing I found interesting, this is a quote from the Athletic talking about the season that was, the level of detail around recovery was cranked up with wellness checks, including details in sleep, diet, and even bowel movements. More yoga, hydrotherapy, and breathing exercises were encouraged. So this is where we got to now. We talked before about how dental records are a big part of sport nowadays. You can tell a lot about someone's health from their teeth, and you can definitely tell a lot about someone's health from their bowel movements. Is there a bowel advisor, I wonder, who has a little look-see in that?
What a shitty job that would be.
Yeah. Professional stool scooper.
Office in the basement.
Yeah. It's still a pretty great job, isn't it? Imagine being the official stool scooper of Liverpool FC.
Oh wow!
I'd take that job, isn't it?
Well, you could have a side job, just like, you know, like, hey, we want a little Mo Salapoon.
Yeah, corn again, Mo. Corn again, is it?
You could definitely sell that shit online, couldn't you?
Lay off the peanuts, please.
But I think that the same article as well, they not only talked about that, like the more focus and specialization and giving more responsibility and more of a voice to those, either like the periodization of training and then more 1v1 training versus just collective. And then also the accent on the recovery, but also that Slot gave them more days off overall, but that on training days, everybody had to be at the training facility at 9:30 and they put in a coffee bar. And so a lot of the social media stuff that you see from Liverpool is around that same area. And it's become like a hub and a gathering spot. And for those guys to kind of spend time together outside the confines of the locker room. And I mean, I think that goes a long way. If you find a way in that way to really develop the culture and have guys hang out, and you're not just playing video games and things like that, that you're actually conversing with one another and getting to know each other on a different level, I think that can go a long way for a club.
I bet there was
Footy Prime Coffee Bar. Sorry, Sharms. Footy Prime Coffee Bar. I think we all like a good coffee. All
do.
6 of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking that.
And a good bowel movement.
Well, there's a connection between that and the bowel.
Well, there we go.
One first.
Yeah.
Coffee bar
100%.
first, bowel movement second.
Yeah, it's all a little bit, oh yeah, I'll give you a coffee bar, that's for sure. And then you got the official stool scooper.
Oh yeah,
sitting there waiting, right?
It's a big. He's got it all. It's all set up. It's like, hey, you're in a system and you don't know it. Yeah,
strategy. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Being the barista is probably the better job, though, isn't it?
That's the winning job out of that system. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
I feel bad for the bowel scooper after the beet salad the night before.
Yeah, and I think Mo's dying. He's dying. No, wait, no.
Okay.
No. We had beets last night.
It's just beets. That barista knows some shit, though. I mean, pun fully intended, right? He's like the barkeep, the bartender.
Absolutely,
knows the barista knows all the secrets. I bet.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Cody Gakpo belongs to Jesus. I don't know if you saw that.
What?
Who pays your fucking wages, Cody? Liverpool does. They own you.
I don't understand. What did he say?
Cody Gakpo scored a goal and took the shirt off.
Took his shirt off.
He's saying, "I belong to Jesus."
Oh,
I think Kaká did this. My God, this is working beautifully. Kaká did that first of all. AC Milan.
And he did the same thing. He said, "I belong
Yeah,
to
I think
Jesus."
he's the first guy I saw doing that with the "I Belong to Jesus" T-shirt. Which again, the circle of feces.
Kaká. Very well done.
Circle of Shite.
Yeah.
Hold up your baby. Your baby should be held up right now.
You know, going back to what we were talking about with the barista, I wonder, do you think they have a little tip jar? So when every time like the big hitters come in, they just kind of push it towards them?
I thought the
Hi,
exact
Mo,
same
what would you
thing.
like? Do you want an espresso? Yeah. And then just they push a little cup over here.
Yeah, 'cause they're not paying for their coffee, right? They're not
No.
paying for it. So there better
Well,
be a big old tip jar.
You could do a shame tip. Like you put their names on each tip jar. Hey, Salah. Hey, everybody, like put your tip on. and
Such a
it'll
Wonger
shame
thing.
them.
Hey, Salah. Hey,
Shame.
Cody.
A shame jar.
It's a shame jar, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if, like, at Starbucks, you give your name. You wouldn't need to do that. I would hope you wouldn't need to do that. You know, what's your name?
And you are
Mohammed.
and you
Mohammed's
are
my
who?
name.
But Mo gets it and it says Salva. It doesn't say Salah.
Yes, exactly.
It's like a fucked up name.
Saliva.
Exactly.
Sorry, how
Double
do you spell
espresso
that?
for saliva.
In comes Alice. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake. Is it Alison or is it Becca? What is it?
Virgin
Mickey
Van
Mouse.
Dyke.
Oh, yeah.
Virgin.
Virgin. You have a latte for Virgin?
Hey, and Alison Johnson, he won another championship. Celtic won again.
Yeah,
Good
he
move
could
for
win
him.
10 if he stays there.
He could, yeah.
I think he's already won 7 trophies, right? Since he went over for beginning of
7 now.
2023, left CF Montreal in December of 2022. It's incredible.
That's
Wow.
crazy, yeah. 11 assists this year as well, by the way. Another one this weekend. Great season for AJ, as his friends call him.
Ali.
Okay, well, listen, that's Footy Prime. Is there anything else you want to talk about? We covered hiccups, feces, and baristas. I think we've covered it all.
Nailed it. For a Monday morning, we got all our check marks done.
I think so.
Oh, I got my first troll on Instagram.
Yes.
Oh.
You did?
Yeah. Yeah.
do you mean?
You wanna read
you
it?
suck. Your voice is really annoying. You're terrible. And I was like, oh, block.
Yeah.
That was Charms.
Yeah.
That's right.
He's very jealous.
Yeah, but what was funny about it was like 3 separate comments. One about how annoying I was. I needed to find a new job. And then a second one, I don't know what it was. It was just like reiterating like the fact that my voice was annoying. And then the third separate one, it was you sucks with an S.
Oh, you
It's like
Same
yeah.
person?
Yeah.